funtwo. Today I'd like to just run through some really techy stuff. There is a process called mixing. Mixing is a process like audio process when you want to tweak and enhance some audio. Also, it includes all the balancing audio levels, and also like making room for other instruments. Also, there are lots of instruments in one track, so we have to balance all the levels and the sound. So that process is called mixing. I always do mixing when I make music, and I just want to share some process of what I do on mixing process. Probably it's not proper mixing because I'm completely self-taught mixing engineer. So I'm not really approaching it as a mixing, but I just want to make good sound, clean sound, that some sound that I want to hear. Yeah, I can hear you guys. Man, JM Outcast, hey man, good to see you, bro. Welcome to my streaming. And Poison Music, hey, good to see you again. 이한진님 또 오셨네요. 반갑습니다. Daily Basic Channel, great. Hello, sir. Present me slow. If I'm right, if I'm correct, the pronunciation. Great to see you, man. Yeah, let's dive into the mixing process. Okay, right away. Yeah, yes, hi. So, here's my Logic session, right? Oops. Okay, so this song is called 2002, original song composed by Anne-Marie, and yesterday I released a new video revamping this into a rock version. This is it. Alright, that was the track that I mixed and mastered, and you can check it out on my channel, of course. So let's dive into the first process. I always start from the master bus. So the first thing I always do is starting with master bus, and also start with this effect called limiter. Nowadays, a mixing process called top-down mixing is quite popular. Top-down mixing is you start from the master bus, then you dive into some other sub-bus like drums, drum bus, or instrument bus, vocal bus, something like that. So always top first, then narrow down to the detail. So by the way, so master, I made a limiter. So all the levels go down like kind of squashed to consistent level. And after that, actually before the limiter, I got a tape saturator like this. So what it does is it emulates the sound of tape. Probably, for example, okay, let's start from here. My rhythm guitar is not coming through. So I'll make it A/B test for you. So this is without. The subtle changes. Also, this is really great master bus compressor. I don't really use it, but this time I just used it because I just wanted to. For the EQ on master bus, I made a linear phase EQ around 36 Hz low cut, and this is quite interesting one. This band here, the low cut, this one is actually affecting the side band only, which means that you don't actually need low frequency for the left and right elements. All these left and right stereo elements are like rhythm guitars or keyboards, so you don't need like bass frequencies. So I make quite considerable amounts of low cut, like 116, but I sometimes go to like 200. What it makes the mix is that it widens up the mix, so it's really helpful. A little bit of low shelf boost of just 1 dB, and high shelf about half dB, something like that. Alright, let's start the fun thing now. So let's start from the drums. Okay, by the way, so for the drum bus, I've got a compressor like this, API 2500. Okay, I'll bypass everything on drum bus. I've got two compressors on drum bus. First one is API, as I mentioned, and second one is Fab Filter C2. Just a little bit of gain reduction. So left one is quite slow attack, not really slow, but just considerably slower attack, and right one was really fast attack and slow release. And kick drums. Okay, I'll bypass everything on drums first. Right now it's completely dry sound of drums. So let's start from the kick first. Not kick first, let's start from bass. Turn on everything. So kick. First one, API, my favorite compressor. It makes some texture without, with. Next one, EQ. So low cut, a little bit of boost on 100 Hz, and a lot of cut on low mid, because this area makes mix really muddy. Without, with, and you always have to check the context. And always you have to compensate the level after you got a lot of cuts like this. You have to compensate with the output level. So I just got 1.6 dB up. Next one. For the kick, I've got a saturation. The type of the algorithm is clean tape. Great thing about saturation plugin is that you can tame the transient. Also, it gives some really good vibe. Without, with. It's just considerable amount of saturation and just a little bit of mid cut. And lastly, we've got a compressor. Purpose of this compressor is tame down just a little bit more transient. Without, with. Okay, that's the kick. Next one. We will move up to snare. Very, very raw sound. Interesting thing is that we have all the mic bleed here. Even it's not live drums, it's virtual drum sample, but still it emulates the mic, the bleeding of the mic. So I didn't really want it to get mic bleed, but I just forgot to set it, so it just got mic bleed set up. So snare mic. Starting from EQ. Okay, 6 dB scale. It has like the boost of something like 130. That makes kind of like body of the snare. If I turn off this one, it just subtly got weight, in my opinion, and a lot of cuts on low mid as usual, and a little bit of sizzle on top. And this sharp cut of these two frequencies are ringing frequency. If I rise up this one, this kind of ringing is there, so I just cut it like 5 dB also. And also this one. Also this one has really nasty resonance there, so I just cut it off. Alright. Next one is compressor, my favorite. Without, with. Next one, saturation. So I divide it into two bands. First band is bass frequency. So just a little bit of saturation for lower frequencies. And rest of the body, I make quite considerable amounts of saturation with warm tape and just a little bit of cut on low mid. So without, with. Next one, another compressor with really fast attack for this one. With. The purpose of this one is taming the transient. And also it's side chaining. It's not affected by any kick drum. It only affects by that snare's body itself. So next one, additional EQ, just a little more low cut, a little more punch, and extra cut of the ringing frequency here. And lastly, we've got a limiter. So it's like a final touch of the taming transient of snare. Just a little bit of gain reduction here. Because normally L1 limiter, it has really specific character. If the gain reduction goes like 6 dB, minus 6 dB, something like that, it sounds like shit. Okay. So for the kick and snare, if I bypass everything, I turn on everything, right. Shall we move up to Tom? So, starting from the EQ of the tom, cuts, some boost. And saturation, free band saturation here. I just learned it from Adam Nolly Get Good. His processing was quite interesting, so I just copied it. So I've divided into 3 bands. And first, low band has just a little bit of saturation. Second one, considerable amount. The high band, much amount of saturation with warm tape. The mid band is about clean tape with 50% also. So after the saturation, we've got a compressor, just simple. So without everything. So what I want to achieve on tom is that to scoop out every aspect of low mid, because it always make mixing hassle. Toms itself right now sounds really thin, but in the context it sounds really tight. Alright, next one. By the way, yeah, hi guys. Hi newcomers, welcome. So, here's a overhead mic with the great thing about this kind of virtual instrument is I can make 2 separate overhead distribution. First one is overhead mics with only shells, and second one is overhead mics with cymbals. So I can make separate tracks. So this track has overhead mic but only includes shells. And this track has got a cymbals only. So normally overhead's got both sounds like this. But I route it into separate tracks because it's easier to maintain. Okay, let's start from the overhead shell first. Okay, without anything. Now start from the EQ. Then we have saturation. So what I've done here is just a little bit of squashing of dynamics and also considerable amounts of saturation, low mid cut. Next one, compressor, quite hard compression here. I want overhead mic really nice and consistent. So without editing and turning on everything. In the context. Okay, let's move up to cymbals overhead. So cymbals overhead sounds like this. Okay, starting from the EQ. Low cuts. You know the drill. Next one. Oops. Sorry, this is not the one. Yeah. Okay, starting from the EQ. Compressor. It's just subtle amount of compressor for cymbals. Because if I got huge amount of gain reduction on cymbals, it will sound shit. Like it's really nasty. This compressed cymbal sounds probably the worst sound in the world. So I just want to make it really tamed and soft compression. Really fast attack and just considerable amount of release. As you can see, the gain reduction is just about 1 dB or 2. And next one is one of my favorite plugin nowadays. It's called Soothe. This plugin is like cheating, I think. If I turn this on, it really smooths out the nasty frequency at the top without with. So in the EQ, I already cut just a little bit of wide Q on 6K hertz, because that hertz, that frequency is quite nasty frequency. Let's hear it. This kind of sound. So on top of that, this dynamic EQ make it even soothe, even softer. So without, with. So in the context, cool. Let's move up to ambience, the room mic. Probably room mic is my favorite element of the drum mics. The room mic actually makes drum set, give some life to the drum set, right? So without any process on room mic. Oh, hello Dragon's Reaper, thank you for your super chat. Thank you, thanks for thank you for your support, man. Hey, nice profile photo. You look cool with the DSLR camera there. I wish you stay safe. And thank you for enjoying my videos. Great, thanks. So, room mics without any process. With process. Without, with. So let's start from the first one. In this case, I just started with saturation with clean tape, just a little bit of saturation with mid cut, without, with. So it gives some kind of grit into the room sound. So next one, compressor. It's quite heavy compression here. So fast attack, just a little bit faster take two, fast release too, because I just wanted to make it really consistent thing. For room mic, you don't need really dynamic transient. I would rather just tame down everything, because in the context it will sound better. So without, with, in the context. Subtle changes, but small thing makes big difference, always. Finally, I've got a EQ on. So without the EQ, with EQ, the low cut, just a little bit of boost on the punchy area, mid cut. The reason why I place this cut is that also I just wanna tame down that nasty cymbal frequency, and also a little bit of at the same time boosting the sizzle just a little bit. So without, with. The whole drum set. So far we've done until room mic. So I'll just bypass every plugin on drums. This is completely raw sound. And after the process, it changes like it. Without, with, much punchier and saturated, right? So lastly, I've got a cymbal mic here. Honestly, for the cymbal means like hi-hats, ride cymbals, also China cymbal, those things. So also China is here. Ride is here. I didn't do much on this cymbal mic. Just a lot of low cut, just little cut of low mid, cutting nasty frequency. That's it. That's it for cymbals. Next one, we have a parallel compression for the drums. So, for example, so this bus 6 is parallel compression. So I've got a parallel channel here. It's really squashed and like unusable at all by itself. But if I inject it into the drum mix, it really helps the drum stand out and also gives some power, energy. So just little amounts, just add little amounts of parallel compression to the whole drums. Finally, we have reverb, drum reverb. So I've used Valhalla Room for the reverb program. So, for example, for snare, this is a whole lot of too much reverb, but if I turn down about this amount here, I rather place just subtle amount of reverb because our room mic sound also does the job of some kind of reverby sound. Yeah, so just a little bit of reverb just helps. Also tom as well. So for the tom, I actually added just a little more reverb without the reverb. With. That's it. That was our drum process. Right, let's move up to the bass guitar. Probably bass is the most difficult for me, at least. Let's see. So let's start from the DI first. So we have three bass tracks. First one is bass DI, and second one is the DI track but processed with this plugin called Dark Glass. Let's start from the DI. So DI track starts with the gate. It's really quiet volume, by the way. So start from the gate. So the reason why I place gate here is it will end up like really saturated, distorted sound, also compressed sound. So I just wanna cut every noise before it got saturated. So that's why I placed gate here first. So after the gate we've got saturation. Really high amounts of saturation here, nearly 100%. Tape saturation. Then a EQ. Ooh, what's this? Just a simple EQ here. Cut, low cut, high cut. Just a little bit of boost here. And finally we've got a compression. Considerable amounts of compression. It's actually huge amounts. So that's the DI. And here's the main bass source. So technically it's DI source. Without. And with. I think my favorite bass plugin is this one. It's called Dark Glass by Neural DSP. And also this setup right here is just default factory default setting. And it already sounded good, so I just use it. I didn't touch anything. Basically, it has built-in gate, which is really good. Drive. Yeah, that's it. So if I blend this to a DI track we just processed, it will sound like this. Without, with. Just subtle difference. But I'll just get a little louder for the DI track. Right. Our third track of the bass is parallel bass track. So from the DI source, I've got a pre-fader send knob. So it basically make another instance of the track. So track itself sounds like exactly same as DI track, which is processed DI track. And for this one, I've got a gate again. And heavy amounts of saturation. Without. With. If I blend all the three bass tracks, sounds quite full and satisfying to me with the drums. So in the context, right, that was the bass. Next, rhythm guitar. So basically there is one left track and one right track. One left one, right one. And without any process, it would sound like this. Sorry. With process, very subtle, right? Let's start from the first. So we have just subtle amounts of EQ, low cut, high cut. I normally cut high frequency of overdriven guitar, even sometimes like 6K, but in this case I just stopped at 10K because this guitar sounds like already quite warm, and it's really dynamic and responsive amount of gain, in my opinion. So I didn't do much abusing here. And also this dynamic EQ here is quite fun. So what it does is it's only triggered by certain frequency. It acts like compressor on that spot frequency. In this case, in the palm muting section, there is a really resonance of low frequency. So I just make it as a dynamic EQ. If I turn this off, it's kind of overwhelming bass frequency to my ears, so I just placed dynamic EQ to tame down the resonance of palm mute. So without. With. Next one. I don't normally place compressor on any overdriven guitar track, but this guitar track is quite dynamic, so I just had to control the pick. So but still, it's really subtle amounts of gain reduction. Next one. Saturation. Next one, compression. Really subtle. Next one is another soothe. This one really tamed the about 3K. Very subtle, right? So in the context, right. So we've got about 80% done. So we have some synth. First one. For this one, I just make just simple EQ, low cut only, that's it. And some reverb, just slight amount of reverb, without, with. And another synth sound is pad. So for this one, EQ, low cut, lots of low cut, low mid cut, cut, everything. And also just slight boost on sideband only. So high frequency of sideband is boosted. So it would make just cool sound. And also it sounds like more wider sound. Without. Very, very subtle though. And also here's a reverb. it up a bit. Yep. Okay, finally, the lead guitar. So normally do I don't do much process on lead guitar because I just want a lead guitar tone is just as original as possible. Because also, you know, thinking about lead guitar is already overdriven, compressed enough by amp or amp modular, whatever, in this kind of music. If I play jazz or something like that, I might do more process, but this kind of really high gain sound, you don't need much process in my opinion. So what I did is just EQ, low cut, and high cut like 7 hertz until 7 hertz. It's like quite heavy high cut, I think. So practically, in my opinion, I don't need the higher frequency in the mix because that area is really nasty and fizzy. I sometimes go like 5K or 6K, but in this case I just stopped at 7K. And just a little bit of boost here. And I've got a 2 reverb. Recently they released this free plugin, Valhalla Supermassive. It sounds like this. Just subtle amounts, something like this. Because the source itself has a lot of delays already, so I just want to add just a little bit more ambience to it. And another reverb here. Where is it? Just that amount will give the roomy feel enough. Oops. Right, that's about the process itself. Now, one of the important parts of the process is automation of the level. So I got like some automation writing things. So normally I don't really use this volume fader writing. I just make separate gain plugin at the end of the chain. So it is acting like volume fader, but only for volume automation writing. For the lead guitar, I've got a funny things going on here. Just slight rising on some points like this. So I just wanted to accentuate this like sliding up effects. So, for example, here. I just want to accentuate that sort of articulations. So just rose up just 1 dB up for that kind of articulation thing. And for the heavy section, probably this wasn't that necessary, but I just wanted to do. So there is a obvious drop here. So without this automation, there will be just a little bit of overdriven hum noise there. So I just want to emphasize the silence as possible. So I just dropped about 5 dB of lead guitar here. If I didn't place this automation here, it would sound like it's still, there is a still like echo of the lead guitar there, right? So I don't want that. So I just placed the drop of the level just a little bit. Much better, much dramatic and silent, right? And also same thing here, some articulation. That sort of articulation thing, I just make slight rising of 1.5 dB also. That one. And also here, that one. And also that's that sort of articulation. I made just a little bit of accentuation of 1.8 dB. So it stands out just a little bit. So here's a little soft section. So I made just a little bit of soften process, just 0.8 dB silent. Also same thing, I just wanted to emphasize, accentuate the so I make 1.2 dB up for only for that articulation here. If I didn't place that one, it would sound like this. If I place that one, really solo, and just most of the people never notice this, but I just wanted to do it because it's so fun. And also, as usual, another articulation here. Just 1.4 dB. Another obvious drop here, so I just make it 5.7 dB silent. Without, with, just considerable amount of volume drop on echoes, right? So here's another slide articulation emphasizing job here, automation. So every time I place it goes up like 2 dB in this case. if I didn't place that automation, it sounds like quite flat, but if I place that automation, just you can feel slight pumping. Keep going. So for the whole outro section, I just raise up about 1.8 dB because that section is really intense section with a lot of drums hitting, rhythm guitars, energy, and also synths. So I have to make the lead guitar stand out a little bit more. So I just boosted about 1.8 dB here. And at the end of the track, I just make it like gradual fade out effects like this. Right. What else? VCA. This one is quite fun. I just make all the reverb routed into one VCA track. VCA track is kind of like a voltage routed something something. But long story short, VCA1 track in this case is all about my reverb track. So, for example here, in this drop, I didn't want to make, I didn't want the reverb still going on in the break. So I just wanted to mute the reverb. So without this automation, it sounds like the reverb is still ringing there. Can you hear? But if I place this automation like volume drop, it's still there. Okay. That's actually, oh yeah, can you hear? Like volume, considerable amounts of reverb volume drop here. Without, reverb is still going on. So for the soft part, I just make I just want to get a little more close feel, more intimate feel. So I just make the reverb a little bit down to 8 dB, 8.5 dB here. If it's without the drop, it'll sound more wet. Wait. Okay, rest of the automations are pretty same. Like for bass and rhythm guitar, they also drop down for the break. And here's break as well. In the contrast for the drums, I just wanted to accentuate this double hit of snare, which is flame hit. So I just make a slight boost, about 2.6 dB here. And also for the soft section, I just get it down about 1.1 dB. that's about the automation. And finally, there's another trick here. I made instrument bus, which is everything goes into instrument bus except the lead guitar. In this case, our lead guitar is acting like vocal. Other tracks like drums, bass, rhythm guitar, synths, everything goes into instrument bus. So for the instrument bus, I've got, if I solo the instrument bus, it sounds like. So basically it's backing track, the instrument bus, right? The reason why I play the instrument bus is that I just want to tame the dynamic, only affecting the other instruments except lead guitar. So if I tame everything at the same time, which is like acting like mastering, the dynamic of the lead guitar is actually affected by lots of drum hits or lots of bass frequencies. I didn't really want that, so I just want to just separate everything, like lead guitar separately and the other instruments, glue it everything together. So instrument bus, I made it like firstly compressor. So right now it's side chaining about above 200k, I mean 200 hertz. The reason why I placed this one is I want the instrument bus acted like, instrument bus is more like only compressed at the snare hit. So if I remove this side chain here, so removing this side chain, it's also affected by kick drums, but with this one. Now it's only triggered by, not only, but just mostly triggered by snare hit. Followed by limiter. So just a little bit of taming of transient, peak transient, right? So without these two, it sounds like. In my opinion, it sounds quite harsh and stingy. So placing these two here on instrument bus. Much softer and tamed down. I think that's it. That's the whole process, I think. Yeah, did I miss anything? Right. That's it. So I'll quickly run through whole song. Let's A/B test. So let's do this. So without any process, I'll turn off everything right now. And if I turn on everything, without, to it. Right, that was the process. So I wish this process tutorial video was helpful, and I'll make this video public, so if anyone is looking for help on mixing, just just watch it. Watch this video and you could get some insights. I wish. So let's run through some questions. Okay, funny one. You can make sound like Joe Satriani. No, I can't. And is this the XFX or mic jack, mic cap? Good question. The answer is that I used amp, tube amp, Victory amp. Then it goes to X load box, which is cabinet load simulator. It's not cabinet simulator, but it's acting like cabinet load, not speaker. And after that, it goes to XFX, which is now it loads the cabinet simulator. So my answer will be not mic cap, but I used XFX for the cabinet, the sound of cabinet itself. Cheers. 감사합니다. You got this. Yeah, of course I know Stevie T. He's fun guy. Great, great, great. I think today that's it. That's it. Thank you for joining the streaming, and probably next time I'll play I'll play more guitar. Cool. Great. Okay, I think I wish this tutorial will help some people like me who are doing self-taught mixing. So yeah, always happy making music and making videos. And I'll see you next time. Cheers, guys. So, right. Stay safe and see you next time. Cheers.